Hello everyone, I go by the name of Omphemetse Seleka and my presentation will be based on cognitive apprenticeship. What to expect in this presentation, my introduction, apprenticeship definition, cognitive apprenticeship definition, and the four types of cognitive apprenticeship, conclusions, and the reference. Have you ever wondered how you know what you currently know now? Have you asked yourself, were you guided throughout the journey, or as the knowledge and the skills that you have inborn? Now, this presentation will give you a glimpse of how you know what you currently know now. Firstly, let's unpack what apprenticeship is. Apprenticeship is a process in which individuals learn by watching and working alongside a person with experience in a particular field. An expert is someone who has been doing what you are trying to pursue for the longest time. Cognitive apprenticeship. Let's break it down first. Cognition. Cognition is the way learning takes place. An apprenticeship is a relationship between a novice and an expert. The expert guides the novice on stages one has to go through to become an expert. Here's a video of Lev Vygotsky, and I strongly believe that Lev Vygotsky's theory is built on cognitive apprenticeship. So according to this video, we can see the cruciality of being guided throughout the journey. On the video, we were able to see a kid who was guided and a kid who was not guided. We got to see that progress was faster on the kid who was guided, and progress was not really there on a kid who was not guided, which emphasizes the importance of being guided throughout your journey by someone with experience. Already, the father is able to walk. He has experience when it comes to that. The father will be able to guide the learner. Hence, the father has the skills on how to teach the kid how to walk, which absolutely builds on cognitive apprenticeship. Now, the elements of cognitive apprenticeship that occur during the apprenticeship phase, which is modeling. This is where the expert shows the apprentice how to do the task. And then the coaching, that is where the apprentice performs the task without assistance. And scaffolding, this is where support is taking place. The mentor meets you where you are and builds on what you already know. And articulation, this is where the mentee explain their reasoning. And reflection, the mentee compares their approach with the expert approach. And then exploration, the mentee apply knowledge to new situations independently. There are four types of knowledge under cognitive apprenticeship, namely the domain knowledge, heuristic strategies, control strategies, also known as metacognitive strategies, and the learning strategies. When looking at the domain knowledge refers to the specific knowledge and facts related to a particular subject or field. For example, in my case, my mentor, I was struggling to teach kids the breaking down method until I asked my mentor and she explained it to me. That's when I was able to grasp it and be able to impart it effectively to my learners. And also, then another example can be as a mentee, I learned about classroom management techniques and lesson planning strategies from my mentor teacher. I'd get so frustrated. Why is her class always quiet? How does she approach it? Until she told me that if you're working constantly, your kids are not most likely to talk. So, with this said, in the domain knowledge, we can say it's the what you know about a particular field. Now, moving to the heuristic strategy. Heuristic strategy involves using the rules of thumb or mental shortcuts to solve problems. For example, my mentor teacher taught me how to identify learners with barriers and the steps I should take in order to assist those learners. For me, to be quite honest, we were not really taught during our varsity years how to identify learners with barriers because you're told that sometimes it might be that you are misdiagnosing the kids. The duty of a teacher is not to diagnose the kids. So it took me time to be able to understand that until I went to my mentor and I asked her in a situation like this, what can be the problem? And then she would tell me this learner has a barrier, and the barrier might be because of this and this and that. And this is where, and here's the strategy, this is where the algorithm takes place of how of what you learned from your mentor. And then we have the control strategy, which is also known as the metacognitive strategy. The control strategy involves planning, monitoring, and evaluating one's own cognitive processes. We can say in the planning phase, that's before taking the action, and the monitoring, your progress while working, and evaluating the outcomes afterwards. And also by making changes if things aren't working out. For instance, in my case, my mentor teacher helped me as a mentee develop a plan to manage classroom time effectively because that was something that I was struggling with. I would sit down and ask myself, why am I taking a lot of time in order to finish this certain subject until my mentor teacher sat me down and said, you can approach it like this and like that and like that. And I took advice because she has experience when it comes to it and it's working out effectively for me. She'd sometimes tell me, you're the own manager of your own classroom. And at this point, I still bear that in mind. And as a mentee, another example would be I reflect on my own teaching practices and I identify areas for improvement with guidance from my mentor. Whenever she comes to, whenever she comes for a class visit inside my classroom, we get to sit down and interact. And I have a notepad by my side, which helps me jot down the feedback that I get from her. And the feedback that I get from her, I don't take it as her being just critiquing me out of the sake, I don't know of what, but I take it as positive criticism that will help me better myself. And then we have the last strategy, which is the learning strategy. The learning strategy involve techniques for acquiring new knowledge. It's essentially about how experts learn. My mentor, for example, would encourage me to observe and take notes on um, experience people's methodologies on how they approach certain content areas. And that would help me a lot because as much as at varsity, they tell us about different teaching methodologies. However, some they don't really apply for your classroom and your classroom ratio. In my class, I have 50 learners. As much as I want to um, use an approach that fits for all, it's impossible. I just have to go with a differentiation approach for my learners because they are a lot and they are diverse at the same time. And also, my mentor encouraged me to attend workshops. She told me that's a way I get to learn a lot. And indeed, that's the case. Whenever I go to workshop, I feel so fulfilled when I come back because I know that I learned a lot and things that I didn't know of. And sometimes I even sit down and be like, yo, was I even doing justice for the kids at this point? So learning never stops in the education field. I attend as much workshops as I can. So from this learning knowledges, we can see how they play a huge role in apprenticeship. And by applying these types of knowledges, as a mentee, I can support my learners' development and help them become more well-informed kids as well as I am informed. And summarizing this up, we were able to identify the types of knowledges that we can find under the cognitive apprenticeship. And then I think it's able to answer the question of how do we know what we know? We know what we know through cognitive apprenticeship, through the guidance that we get from our mentors. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. And this is my declaration and my reference list.